Everything's such a person. Okay, perfect. We are recording. So I will just actually get you to start by just introducing yourself, tell us your story, what you do, why you do it, yada, yada, all that wonderful stuff.
All right, thank you. My name is Lisa Duckworth. Right now, I'm in the health and wellness industry, and I have a passion for this industry so much, kind of like we were talking about prior to this call, because through my own journey of anxiety, depression, and the things that I've had to battle and come through, I've discovered first fitness, and then when you start going down that route, I believe it's just very easy to stumble into, oh, okay, now I've made these changes like fitness wise, mindset wise. So I became more aware of other things that I needed to change, like food, diet, and growing up around people. My dad, honestly, we grew up kind of healthy in a certain sense, although it wasn't always healthy. We still had fast food. We still had easy TV dinners. The things that, at that time when you have a working parent, my dad raised me by himself. My mom was not around. So my dad just was making these choices based off of working. So like, he's like, okay, feed the family. Here's Wendy's. Here's a TV dinner. But he was also a chef and he had these really nice, healthy meals too. So I did get a side of that. So
That's
yeah.
very neat,
So
actually.
this is what I hope I didn't go off on too much of a tangent, but the
Nope.
reason that I do what I do is because I truly believe, like, in all my years of focusing on my own health and fitness and wellness journey, now I can bring that to light and help others achieve their success as well.
Oh, that's so wonderful. It's so funny because I think my mom was the primary cook. My dad did not know how to cook at all. So whenever dad was in charge, like literally my brother and we must have been 8, 10 years old. We would just grab the hot dogs and fries because we knew that's what we were having. And it's so funny because, I think back and especially in the 80s, nobody knew like trans fats was going to be the savior from butter, and of course that was absolutely terrible, and like all these things, and we look back and I think, even not that I blame my mom, I have no like bad thoughts about it, but just all the stuff we put in our bodies, and I'm just like, oh my god, how am I even alive today? And just things we didn't know. And it's, yeah, that, dad's, I mean, obviously yours was a chef and better, but just that thought, I need to feed my children. Great, here's food. And it's got to be quick, it's got to be easy. Maybe on the weekend you have time to cook, but it's kind of that you don't put too much more thought into it. And yeah, it's very neat how where we come from, what we didn't know back then. Yeah,
It's so true. And it honestly all boils down to that, and like just kind of stumbling and figuring out your own path. And like, we're not all raised in areas where we know better, and like where our surrounding people, I mean, it's just what we are kind of taught and growing up, and we just don't really think too much past that because that's just how we've always done things. So
that's
I
it.
think
And
that's
and
where a lot of people have hard times. Like, yeah.
yeah, and I know I've gotten better like reading labels now, but it took me forever because when we were kids, you didn't read a label. You just didn't. It wasn't like if you saw someone reading a label in the store, you're like, what is wrong with you? Like, it's food, stop. And now I'm like, how did I not read labels? Like, there's so much things. Like, I think one of the biggest eye openers for me was when I found out McDonald's and they're 100% beef. And, that used to be an argument even in high school. Like, this can't be food. This is not beef. Like, look at it, whatever. I mean, in high school, we ate it anyway, right? But then you found out that it's 100% beef was the name of the farm that they got the material from. And,
Yes.
right. And you're just like, I remember when I learned that, I thought, oh my God, how else are they tricking us? And that was my game changer of, okay, I need to know more.
Yes. Yeah. It's so funny that you touch on this because today, even like this is one of my things that I have been thinking about a lot so much since I've entered this realm too, is what you're saying. Like so many people do not realize the way that we're being manipulated, even with healthy products, things that we think are healthy, because sometimes the brands are a health conscious brand. And yes, they may have a handful of products that truly are healthy without all the chemicals, or I should say bad chemicals and the additives and all of that. But then they have a handful that's not healthy. But you would not know the difference based on the labeling because it's still marked as organic, or it's still saying, oh, low fat, or it's marked in a way to where we
Natural.
think it's yeah, it's marked in a way to where it's like very hidden right in front of our eyes. And that's what's so alarming about a lot of things, because there was a time where I became more of a conscious eater as well and became healthier though I thought. And I was just being duped by packaging and labels because I'm thinking, oh, this is a healthy brand, or oh, this is marked organic, or oh, and then getting into it even deeper, I'm like, wow, we really do need to be super conscious about these things because it's very sneaky.
Yes, I know. I definitely went through the phase of all natural because, I mean, obviously, all natural means it has to be natural, right? And then I
Yeah.
watched a program, I don't know, Discovery Channel program or whatever it was, and they're talking about all natural, and it was like that How It Made or something show. And you're just like, my jaw dropped, and it's like, yeah, this horrible cancer causing additive is naturally derived, so it's all natural. And I was like,
Yes, you're so right. I'm so glad that we're speaking about this today too. And like it's just such a flow because it's so nice when you meet other people that understand that. But sometimes when you know these things, you sometimes feel alone in this knowledge because it's such a hidden thing and it's so sneaky that it's not easy to catch. And like when you do and you have those aha moments, you're like, okay, then you start telling people and they're like, no way. It's hard for them to hear.
well, and I think I will just say, kind of a little to the side for anyone watching or listening to this, is just to remember it doesn't matter what you did yesterday or even what you're doing right now. Just to know if this stuff is shocking you, or you do want to do better, or you've always wanted to do better. It doesn't matter what you've done your whole life. It doesn't. It just matters, where do we go from here? There's no guilt. There's no, oh my God, like, I mean, if I did that, the literal tons of sugar I put in my body and chemicals and dye from the amount of Kool-Aid I drank when I was little, like, holy, I'd have a thing to talk about with myself. But just
Yes.
to remember, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's done. It's gone. What are we doing moving forward? So that said, and that aside,
Thank you for bringing that up. And honestly, it's also starting and becoming aware is the first way to change. And then just building little habits, changing little tiny things, because it's very hard to counteract all of it. And we don't have to. We just need to be more conscious
yes, just
and
better
aware of
every,
things.
yes.
Yes. And that's how we make change and create change, I believe, by just becoming aware and just realizing, okay, what can I do right now to start? How can I change one little thing that might help me in the long term of illness or disease?
You know what? And actually, that is probably one of the best points that will be made today, because even myself, according to all my friends, I'm a little nutters in how healthy we are, which I think, like, I'm actually not that great and I could do so much better. But because it's that I don't have the mental strength right now to deal with this part of it, I need to just continue, my no sugar, my this, my that, like the things I know I can do today. Maybe I'll research that tomorrow, but for now, I won't worry about it because it'll just cause me too much
Yes.
stress, too much anxiety. And literally, to your point, it's better to do what we can than become overwhelmed and then just scrap all of it. So, yeah, especially for anyone listening, like, just pick that one thing, and just know you're doing better
Right.
than yesterday. Yeah, that's such a good
Exactly.
point.
Just little baby steps, little small habits that create big change. And it's not going through, it's like slow and steady wins the race. Honestly, it's just making those starting really small with those healthy habits and then just repeatedly until it becomes just a thing that you do and it's a lifestyle change. That's how we build longevity, is by starting off small, implementing, making that to where it's part of everyday routine, to where you can focus on a different one. And then you can just keep tackling it to where it's not overwhelming. It's just one little foot in front of the other, just little baby steps until you get to where you need to be. And we're all going to have setbacks. We're all going to have hurdles. There's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be goals. There's always going to be all kinds of things. Luckily, we're all here. We're all breathing. We can always find something to be grateful for. And
Yes.
even if you're in a situation to where these things might not be obtainable at the moment just because of life stuff, then it's just still being aware and conscious and maybe just thinking in a different way and changing the way that we're thinking about these little things. And it's just
Yeah.
being conscious and aware.
And that's it. And how can I do the best with what I have right now? And that's a good example. Because we when we moved to Mexico, in Canada you can get anything, and I assume a lot of the states is the same. There is, whether I wanted spelt flour, amaranth, the 10,000 alternative, I don't want to say wheat, that's obviously, but grains that I didn't even know existed. Like, what is amaranth? Like, what? And all these different things, and
Right.
goat's milk and goat's cheeses and all these different eggs that I'm like, we can eat those? What? Like, they're just everywhere. There is a store somewhere to find all of these things, which is the beauty of living in Western society. And I will say, since we moved to Mexico, it's not really a thing here. Like, I still have not found spelt flour at all. One day, maybe,
Wow.
hopefully, I will, but that's okay. So, when I'm in the store, okay, integral flour, that's got whole, it's got the germ. Okay, for now, this is the best I can do, and that's better than the white flour or rich flour. So, just kind of, yeah, adapting,
Yes.
and I'm good with that because I know I'm still doing better than I could, and I'll figure the rest out later. So
100%. And that is so because you literally, and I actually am speaking this way because I've already had that. Because I can sometimes be an extremist in the things that I do. And two, I've had to take step backs where I'm like, okay, slow down. You've you've made a healthy choice today. You're doing what you can to stay, like, because sometimes when you're aware of too much all at once, it becomes overwhelming. And it's just breaking it down into small, manageable steps. Like you said, you're like, okay, I understand that I can choose a little bit better, but this is out of I'm choosing the best I can with what I have to work with. And that's like that's all we have to do. Like, we only
yeah.
have to be just a little bit better than we were 5 seconds ago. Like, it's just a thing that we continue to just be conscious of and keep moving towards. It's moving in that upward energy.
So I did have a client ask me with because I do the overall anxiety, stress, and all that, and she did ask me. She said, "So is it just natural one day where I won't have to actually think about finding the positives?" Which, of course, I said, "Yeah, absolutely. It just flows and it just becomes part of who you are." So I will ask you the same question then. Do you find in your healthy journey, no matter how extreme you might get, does it just become natural where you don't have to like work at being healthy and making those choices?
I believe there becomes a discipline with it, although the things that I discipline myself with to always stay on that journey and that path for me is like I practice gratitude. Like, journaling is something very, very helpful. That's a very helpful tool. Now, for me, I will most likely always journal and write down the things I'm grateful for. I mean, that's just what I do, and that's part of my discipline in order to achieve these mindsets and stay in those things. But that doesn't mean that you could not possibly just think of it. You could wake up and think of, hey, what am I grateful for today? And just take a moment to reflect. But that, I think, keeps us in that level of being present too. And so for me, I just feel like it's a certain discipline lifestyle. It becomes something that you do day in and day out. And honestly, it can be different for everybody. Everybody's just so different in that realm. And you just have to figure out what works best for you. Now, if you can just go about your day being happy and okay, and not show gratitude, I haven't found that yet for myself personally. I like to take time to reflect on those things and be quiet. I just try to listen in and see what I need.
Mhm.
So it might just be a moment of silence. And I find that through various activities as well. So I think it's just finding things that spark joy and that keep you in that mindset of being uplifted.
So I guess that's also intriguing. So if we think of that in the sense of food and stuff, I guess I would have two questions. I think would be what people would ask would be number one, like how long does it take that it's not so much effort and trying to form new habits and make better choices, like because the beginning's always the hardest. How long, right? So like how long generally would that take? And then I guess also having the mindset towards food of not just like, oh, I need to eat this bland. I mean, rice cakes are not good for you, but oh, rice cake and blah blah. Like to really instill that into making those choices, so it's a fun, good thing to that you can incorporate, right? Like, oh, I'm eating
Right.
this bowl of cow feed.
Those are really great questions. And it's going to go back to, and this might actually answer the other question as well, starting back at the basics. It first starts with that choice to choose. Okay. So we wake up and we decide, hey, do I want to do this? Yes. Okay. I've made this decision. This is what I want to do. I want to create healthy habits. I want to start today. I want to create a new healthy habit. So doing whatever it is that you need to implement that new healthy habit, whether it's journaling it, whether it's just instead of maybe you drink soda, maybe you want to cut back on drinking soda, maybe exchanging that for a sparkling water and just being conscious of that and thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to make a choice not to drink soda. So instead, I'm going to have the sparkling water, and then making those shift changes. And then if you continuously do that, I mean, for at least 21 days, I would say that you've formed a new habit. And but still being conscious, and it may still take a little bit more effort. Maybe you might make that choice and then decide, okay, I'm out with all my friends, they're all drinking soda. It's really hard. And you might still choose that soda, but just coming back to that, okay, I have a choice. I'm going to grab that sparkling water. It becomes easier over time. That doesn't mean that in 21 days you're going to be completely healed or not have that want or need for something that you've always had. So I do believe that making that choice to create a habit is most number one important thing. And then from there, we just choose different, and then we put a strategy in place, whether it's journaling it, whether it's marking off day one, no soda, day two, no soda, and actually visually seeing it. I think that's very helpful. Doing that for 21 days and then create that new habit. And then you could just move on to something different and do it the same way. That doesn't mean that you cannot always revert back to that. Maybe there might be a time where things or a season where things are off and you have everything around you going haywire to where it's like, again, getting to that fast, convenient mindset. So we're going to sometimes always have those obstacles or fall off, but it's just kind of using that tool to get you back to where you need to be.
I love that. Actually, that does remind me too, because one of the tricks I did myself was when friends would have gatherings or parties or whatever, I was always very good at not eating the junk food. But every once in a while, I'm like, I have not had chips in like a year. I'm going to that party and I'm eating all the chips. So I would like have a very clean, healthy breakfast. I would like, usually not saying that this is the best to do, it's just what I did. I would skip lunch, and then when we got to the party, then I'd eat some chips. So I'm like, well, I'm starving. My body's going to burn it up. And I'm eating nothing but salad tomorrow. Like, not really, but right. Like kind of try and balance it out, because I mean, I think you said this already. Like we're people, we're human. I'm going to eat chips, even though I know they're terrible for me. They're delicious. And every once in a while, I'm going to grab the pack of M&Ms and okay, it's got food dye on it. That's terrible. Maybe I'll do a cleanse afterwards, but I'm going to eat them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I love that you said balance. And then like also knowing that, hey, if I do this one thing, it's not meaning that I've just blew everything. You're still being conscious. You made the choice. You knew what you were doing. You were like, I'm going to counteract it with all these other things and balance it out. And then you know that you're going to pick yourself back up. But you also implemented all those changes for that whole year up that led to this conscious way of thinking to know that, hey, I can do this. I'm human. I can have a little fun and have my cake and be healthy too, or whatever it is. And it's like, it's okay. it's not going to, allowing ourselves grace and allowing ourselves to be able to say, okay, there's a part of me that loves this and it's okay. And you can do that because you are so clean and healthy for the majority of the time. So it does counterbalance and counteract that. You're going to have a lot easier of a time. Usually after you ate that whole bowl of chips too, what happens?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, okay, that was even worth it. Like you probably don't even feel the same way about those chips after a whole year of not having them. So it's like, so that also shows progress in a lot of ways, like going back to that just to see, hey, did I even miss this? Or maybe I did, but I'm still able to get myself back on track. It shows your progress. And then you can see how far you've come. And I think by doing little things like that, sometimes it just does truly show like everything you've learned and like your journey and just all the good things. So it's completely okay.
Right. Well,
Okay.
and that's something I've heard from people too. Oh, well, but I really like sweets. Okay. Then eat some sweets sometimes or bake the sweets or like there's all these different ways. But yeah, you don't need to, like you said, just those small adjustments, just do better than yesterday. Now, I'm sure you have this in your programs and your world also, because I think it's just a coaching thing. Always celebrate. Like if you go I know for myself, when I go to a party or something and I didn't eat, oh my God, chocolate fudge brownies are just like my kryptonite. And if I didn't eat them, I would be like, I am like super mad. I did not eat the brownies. And I'd be so proud, like almost overly proud. But it was in those moments where I was just like, I can do anything. And it just made it that much easier next time. So I'm sure you have this, like, but just to tell everyone listening, just celebrate everything, every little better.
Yes. That's so, I love that because that that's in every aspect too. That mindset and just celebrating the little wins because when we focus on the little things, because that's what makes it's just the details. It's all just the details. So when we take the time to appreciate and show gratitude for the little things, then that's when we see the big things. I mean, that's what those little steps, like we were talking about, those little stepping stones, those little baby steps, that's what equal huge, giant leaps and bounds of change. And taking the time to recognize and just those little tiny moments are what make the big things. That's what makes it all so much. So, yes. And I once heard from a really wise coach that if we don't celebrate the small wins, then you stop having the wins. Like, and it made a lot of sense when I heard it like that because sometimes we just move right to the next thing. We don't take the time or hold the space or to realize. So it's that level of consciousness that keeps us aware, that keeps us in the moving forward stages. So I
And
definitely think that's important.
yeah, and it's funny because it just popped into my head because I do tell my clients, if possible, like have literally what you said, record it, have a chart or something, tick it off. Because there's nothing better than looking back on a Friday night and being like, oh my God, look, I got 30 ticks. I'm awesome. What a great week. Like, and so this, I know we're in the age of like everything's electronic, but I just love, even if it's a whiteboard or something, writing stuff down is so powerful. So I think,
Yes.
again, you already said it, but like write those changes down, have something on the wall. Like this week, we're eliminating sugar. This week, we have A&W twice a week. We're only going to have it once a week for a whole month, like whatever it might be. Write it down and keep yourself accountable.
100%. What gets tracked gets measured. So if we do not keep track of it, then we just do not know how far we've come. And it's hard to see where we're going because we're not keeping, doesn't mean that we need to be crazy about it, but it is such a great visual and it does keep us on track. And if there's a change in that, you know exactly where you need to come back to. Like you can see exactly where it is that you need to, okay, improve. So, and we're not going to always hit our goals. We're not going to always, but just realizing how far you've come and that this was what do I need to learn from this? Like, okay, I didn't hit my goal. Okay, so how do I move forward? How do I look at this in a different way? How do I hit the goal the next time? Like, it's just a learning. It's all just learning. But as long as you're being conscious and keeping track and doing the things, it's going to keep you in that growth mindset.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Okay, I would like to switch a little to physical, like exercise and stuff, because I know you're big into the yoga and everything, and you're pretty like, I'd say, health like all the way around. So now I know from my knowledge, like there's different body types, and every different body type needs different types of exercise, and it's quite a vast topic out there. So I guess for general people, I guess one of the first questions I would ask would be, how do I know where I should start? Like if I
Okay,
wanted to,
well, that's such a great question, and we are all so different. And I truly do believe that you just showing up in any realm and putting in any kind of effort, unless you get out and try, like yoga's great, all shapes and sizes, it does not matter. It's just starting. That's the hardest thing. Every single fitness class I've ever taught, and I'm still teaching fitness classes, I teach yoga, um, and I teach strength training, and I have a fitness background. So I've seen all different shapes and sizes. What it comes down to is mindset. And 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 of course, if there's something that doesn't feel good within your body, you can listen to your body and then you can always modify. It doesn't mean that you need to be on, we're all at different fitness levels. And it's just doing the best and giving it all for your own individual self, doing the best you can, because you can benefit from any kind of physical fitness, any kind.
actually, and that does remind me, and I will just put in for anyone watching this or listening to it, that I know from my massage background, so we do have different types of muscles, the endurance muscles, the strength muscles. So I know for myself, if there's people out there who maybe get down on themselves for not achieving things as quickly, or what, there's no rules. There are no rules. So I'm just going to use myself for example. I used to, like 10 years ago, I ran for over a year, and I did not really build too much endurance, and I still huffed and puffed, and Lord help me, like a marathon, like what am I running from? Um, and even now here, since we moved, we could not bring our home gym with us. um, so I do run in the mornings, even though I hate it and I think it's terrible and a form of torture. It's good for me, so I do it. And I will say, I know I've improved, but again, if I were to enter a marathon race, and I've been running for over a year, 5 days a week for the most part, I would maybe middle of the pack, but I almost guarantee I'm going to be way back there with newbies who just started running like 2 weeks ago. Just because I have strength muscles. I am a farm girl build. I am not endurance. My legs are thick. Like, so just to tell people, like, I ran and I suck. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You have a different genetic makeup, and that's fine. And if you hate
Yes,
running, don't run. Find something else. There's oodles of
100%. 100%. And then now, actually, I would love to speak to that. Like, okay, so what you just said, it's going back to celebrating the wins. You may not win the marathon, but the fact that you're going to run a marathon, how many other people are waking up to say, hey, I'm going to go run a marathon? So we have to think about these things in different perspectives sometimes and think, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't like running every day, but look at where it's getting me. It's getting me into the mindset, hey, I can go run in a marathon. How many people can actually say that I can go run in a marathon? Now it doesn't matter. You're still running in a marathon, and that takes a lot of training and a lot of persistent, that takes a lot of mindset to do
gumption.
that. Right? So just think of what you built up to even get yourself to even think about a marathon or to enter a marathon. So we have to celebrate those wins, because without that whole year running, would you have been thinking about a marathon at all? Right? But
Yeah,
yes, we're all different. We all have different goals. We all have different fitness levels. And, honestly, it's like you have to learn to fall in love with the process. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that it's hard. We can all do hard things. It's just setting that mind, setting that tone, and thinking about all the great things that are going to come from doing this thing. So, and kudos to you for running every day.
oh, And here's something I did, because I know myself, and so I know I have to work around my flaws, because well, that's another story for another day, but loving yourself and knowing yourself and then having to work with yourself and knowing how much I hate running. How am I going to get myself to do this every day, aside from like heart health, being healthy, things like that? Well, it turns out, as someone had told me, that mantras and all these like instilling the new things in us actually take hold way faster during exercise. It's something about our state of mind when we're exercising, because we tend to block a lot of out. It's a very peaceful type event. We're focused more on what we're doing. And so I took that opportunity, and now my morning run is when I do all my mantras for the day, and I politely get them out of the way. And then I feel extra good about it, because whether it's true or not, I don't care, because now my story, my truth for myself, I know I'm instilling them faster and better because I'm running. So I better get out there and run, because I want to instill my mantras.
Yes, I love that. And see, you also added something into the running. So it takes the task off of the running and it puts it onto something maybe that you love even more. So it makes running a little more enjoyable because you're focused on that. And it's all about making that mind body connection through exercise. And that's what I teach a lot. It's just making that mind and body connection and just being connected and finding that connectedness and realizing, why am I doing this? And always sticking to the why, and you know and the accomplishment. Maybe it's not that fun in the moment, but it will get better, and you're going to build that confidence. You're going to build those things that you need to create those healthy mindsets. Just like that was brilliant to add that in.
Okay.
Yes.
um, that's I guess again, not quite to the healthy point of, but just for people to know flaws are fine. Know them, accept them, and who cares? Like, right? And I think too, even because we are a very competitive race, just human beings, and just to know that, just because I just think back to my college days. I used to go to the gym a lot with my friends and stuff like that. And again, I'm more farm girl, so I could always handle more weights. That's my cup of tea, is weightlifting, strength training. And then I had my other nice, beautiful, willowy friend who was, the runner, the yoga, the more soft type exercises. And she would never lift. She's never curl as much as me. And it's just that different physicality and different strengths. And it's, I feel like, now correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like exercise is a great way for the mindset and beginning to know ourselves and love ourselves, in that, what am I good at? What are my strengths I can pull out? Okay, I'm never going to lift that amount, but boy, look how bendy I am in this yoga class. This is great. Like, I guess,
Right.
is there a recommendation you would have for people to, how could they figure out what their strengths are? How can they more learn themselves better?
Well, honestly, it starts with making the choice to pick something and sticking with it, and showing up. And in order to really, because I do believe that you could have the best of both worlds. It's just what you're choosing to work on and how you're wanting. Like, I teach bar classes right now, and it's to the small muscles. And people, it's so funny because I have people that lift heavy weights, and they come to a bar class and they're like, wow, this is harder than lifting the heavy weights, because it goes back, speaking back to what it is that you already know. So your body's already used to moving in that way. You've already built that muscle memory up. That's the way that you're used to. You farm girl, so you're used to being lifting heavy. You're used to that kind of endurance or that strength training. So when you go and you do something that's a little bit more out of your comfort zone, that seems super hard because you are using small muscle moves, but it seems sometimes harder than lifting those heavy weights, and then vice versa. It can go the other way too. So you can be used to using those small muscles, and then the heavy weights, you're like, whoa, this is so heavy. But it's also just getting in the reps and doing the thing, and you can become strong in anything. It's just what you choose to be strong in, and you can benefit from both sides. You can always build up. It's just showing up, and you don't have to be the heaviest lifter. You don't it's not about that. And like going back to that competitiveness, this is one thing that has always, I think this is what kind of has given me my drive, and that the way that I'm able to achieve success for myself is by whenever I'm in competition with myself. How much better can I be today than I was yesterday? What can I do to improve? So I'm always focused on myself, and most people are. Now there you will find people that are competitive, and I've seen this a lot with, and they work well in that kind of energy. But for me personally, I just work better when I just focus on what it is I can improve on, and I just worry about myself. When I'm teaching a fitness class too, there's a lot of people that may have intimidation or may feel a little nervous about coming to a fitness class. And I've heard this a lot over the years. And a lot of it comes to, I'm worried like I might not look right. I don't look like this is, they're just so worried about everybody else around them. I'm like, everybody is already focused on themselves, most likely. And they're all, so when we just take that and go inward instead of being so focused on what's around us, we realize that, hey, it's not so bad. And, most people that are at the gym are there for a reason. They're working out. So they're usually focused on themselves anyways. So it's not, it can seem scarier than what it really truly is.
And that does actually remind me because I ran into one of my neighbors walking her dogs, and we kind of started talking about that. And she said that she felt so because she's bigger, so she would like try and run at night when no one was out, so no one would see her. And it's funny because my perspective, because everything's perspective and mindset, and it's very neat how it all ties in. And I said, you know what? You know what impresses me most is someone bigger going out and doing what they need to better their lives. As I see some little twig running down the street, and I'm like, yeah, you do that every day, whatever. Right. So I think to me, it's almost more empowering if people can see it that way for themselves, that if you are not a gym person, if you're bigger and looking to get into shape, you are the most inspiring person in that place because you're stepping out of the comfort zone. At least that's how I kind of think. Like if I walk into a gym, I've been lifting weights since I was 16. Like who cares? I do this all the time. Maybe I can help other people, but I think that's not really anything. And then I see someone who's obviously does not move a lot in their life and is at the gym and sweating and working hard. I'm like, you are awesome. I love you. Like, yes.
And then I completely understand where you're coming from. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about shape or size to me. It does not matter if you're out and you're moving your body and you're exercising and you're doing something that is uplifting and bringing yourself. If you're doing something that's healthy, if somebody looks down on that, then it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them.
Yes.
And it's probably just triggering them like, oh, maybe I should be doing that. But the way of thinking, it's easier to stay as is. So it's just that self-reflection.
Yes.
So yes, I mean,
It-
honestly, if you're moving and you're grooving and you're doing your thing, who cares what anybody else thinks? At the end of the day, it's not our business. Like just do you and be the inspiration for everybody that may feel that way. Be the inspiration and stand up for those people. So go out in the day. Go be the person that shines light on that. Hey, I may not be the size that everybody wants me to be, but I'm out here doing this. And by me doing this, maybe I'll make other people feel comfortable doing this as well.
yes.
Just be the leader that you want to look up to.
That's exactly what I think too. Like, how many other people could you inspire? But that's also getting out of that. What do other people? Who cares what other people think? Like, you're just doing
Yes.
something beneficial for you. Well, and that's even I know for myself. We didn't actually talk about it a ton, but when we were in Canada, and we don't eat, the white flour or Canadian wheat because I think it's garbage. And we weren't gluten free. We just Canadian wheat, North American wheat free, and all these different choices. And every once in a while, when food would come up, our friends would actually make these comments and kind of poke fun at us and like some of the things they said. And I'm like, I'm not like some crazy hippie in the forest eating berries with the birds. I'm like, that's what people think of me. All right, well, whatever. Like, but just to that, it doesn't matter. Like, we never gave it any thought because we knew this is what's best for us. So I guess, I mean, I know what I would recommend from my perspective. Would you have any words of advice how people could start achieving that? Who cares if people think you're the crazy hippie? um,
Yes, 100%. Well, it kind of goes back to keeping those trackable, keeping track. So if you're setting that intention or you're setting that goal for yourself, then you're staying focused on that goal. So there's going to always be outside noise. There's always going to be distractions, people that are not going to agree with your way of thinking, but it doesn't matter because that's your goal. That's what you're doing for yourself. And you know, if you set that goal, it's to help yourself. So it's just finding what it is that you need to do for you because we're all different. We all want different things. We all have different goals. We're all individuals. So it's basically just taking a look on the inside and figuring out what it is that you need, what it is that you're giving to yourself. Think of yourself as giving yourself a gift. So if you really think of it in that way and write it out and just stay focused and just get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable because we only grow in the uncomfortability. And just like going to that class, no, it's not going to be comfortable. It's the first time you've ever done it. You may be the worst one in the class. You may not be that great at this because it's something that we're brand new at. But anytime that we're learning a new skill, no matter what, it's going to be, we're not going to be the best. We're not going to be good. But you know what sets people apart is the showing up and learning and getting comfortable with being or getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's how you grow. And that's how you might become the best. Who knows? But if you don't allow yourself the chance, it's really getting out of your own way. It really truly is getting out of your own way.
I love that. You might be the best, but you don't know unless you give yourself that opportunity. I love that. I've actually never really given that too much thought myself, but I really love that. Now, something else I did hear a ton of from my massage clients when they were trying to, achieve whatever was always, oh, I'd love to, but, my family would never eat that. So do you have, because my thought was always like, whatever, you got to do what you got to do, but that's also not very inspiring advice for people. So what would you recommend when, let's say mom or dad one of them wants to get really healthy. The rest of the family's like, give me my fries, stop being weird. What would you advise them?
That's when you go back to focusing on yourself and by being the change you want to see. Like when we start doing things and then you start having this new energy, because when we start doing things and accomplishing things for ourselves, that's what gives us new energy. We get a different sense of accomplishment, we get confidence, and then we start to change. So when we start to change ourselves, sometimes that can have a chain reaction. And then people are like, okay, what is going on over here? I want some of that. All right. And then it's kind of just leading by example. And then that doesn't mean that everybody's going to want that because we all at the end of the day are different and we have different goals, and that's okay. It's okay to be different and just being comfortable with that. It's just going back to that uncomfortability. It might be uncomfortable for a little while, but once you create that change in that habit, that's you, that's your lifestyle, that's what you're choosing. So there's always going to be people that go against anything, your idea. Like it's just the best way to say this, just no expectations, just focus on yourself, focus on your goals. And if that's something that you want for yourself, and that's what brings you peace and happiness and joy and whatever it is that you need. So I think that's super important. Just going back to that inward and that sense of self and staying connected.
Oh, I love that. And then I guess it would also be then just figuring out that problem solving. Okay, my family's not on board. I am. How am I going to make it work? And then just doing what you need to do to make it work.
Yeah, lots of journaling, I would say. Because with that will come lots of emotions and lots of things. And, it's just kind of realizing that it's not easy when you don't feel supported by the rest of your family. But this journey is not easy. It's not easy. It's not.
Well, and especially in our world today, like literally you have to shop the outside of the supermarket and nothing processed, really, ideally. Like it is very difficult to go out, and even our food is not as nutritious as it used to be. And depending, like even myself, I love eggs. I'm a huge egg person, like 2 every day. I'll eat 4, 6, whatever. Give me all the eggs. I love them. Just to try and find those brands where, I've had the organic free range chicken, eggs, and I crack them and the yolk
Yes.
is yellow. And I'm like, are you sure you're like free range chickens? And then I found the, half no name brand that is tucked in the corner, and they've got these beautiful orange yolks. And then you research the company more and you're like, okay, that's actually a better product. But I just had to find it, and navigating that. What are my things? What do I like? And yeah, working out and figuring it out. It is I don't want to see I don't want to say like challenging per se, because I don't want to put anything negative on it, but an experience, an adventure, we'll say. And I just want to throw in for people, again, other people watching. So I started doing a blood type diet. We won't talk about that here. That's its own topic. But just eating for my basic genetic makeup. And in there it said, do not have tomatoes. You cannot digest it. You don't have the proper enzymes. Don't eat tomatoes. So I cut them out, and true to form, when I tried to eat tomato again, I cannot eat tomatoes. Now, my entire world revolved around garlic, onions, tomato. That was the start of literally everything I ate. So I'm going to say, guys, if I can cut tomatoes out of my life when I used to eat 3 to 4 a day, you can make any food change you want. It's just problem solving and some Googling.
Yes, 100%, and lots of support. Because if you're not finding support with the people around you, then go out and find other support.
That's
People
it.
like
Whether
mine.
it's friends,
There are
even
people
Facebook
out there.
groups, right? And that's
Mhm.
it. Like there's so many. It doesn't have to be literal your friends. You can have those Facebook support groups. I don't know. I'm not on Instagram myself, but yeah, like there's so in our global internet world, I feel like
Mhm.
there's excuse to not find your people.
100%, yes. And definitely. And we can do anything that we set our minds to. I mean, honestly, we can. If we can think it, we can achieve it. It's just using those tools and the stepping stones to get to where we need to be. And it's yes, if you can stop eating tomatoes, just like a long time ago. I mean, like I'm gonna say maybe 10 years ago, I stopped drinking soda. And it's just been something that I did and a choice I made. And I used to drink a ton of soda. So if I can stop doing that, like you said, like it's just yes, you can choose
Yeah.
different.
You
It's
just
achievable.
and that's it. And I think this is like anything in life. We naturally just find a way. Like things pop up. We always seem to find a way. And this is just one more thing where it's okay. We'll find a way.
Yes.
Is there anything that you'd like to touch on that we haven't touched on yet?
Well, and just going back to the nutrients of food, there's always also things that you can do, like technologies. There's different ways that you can also stay healthy, whether it's through vitamins, whether it's finding the right vitamins or technology. There's a lot of things out there that can also help.
Okay, so I know, well, first of all, I'll just say, because yeah, this is still a big thing. I cannot get my mom to stop taking those hard pressed like Centrum that we don't even digest properly. So yes, I
Right.
will show, like you said, proper supplements are important. But so
Yes,
what do you
proper.
mean by technologies?
Well, there's just different technologies out there. In my own coaching program, there's a certain brand that I work with that I swear by and I love. Um, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about it now, although there's just so many different things out there that can be misleading. So you really have to do your research and make sure that you're researching your vitamins or the products that you're choosing to use, and always go to a trusted source or somebody that's already done the work for you and that's already a trusted person in a field that you may look up to that can lead the way and show you these things.
Now, I can't remember. Do you have a free Facebook group that you give? I think you do, don't you? That you give like helpful
Yes,
tidbits.
yes, I do. It's Lou Marie Wellness Warriors. So anybody that wants to stay in, there's little tips and tricks for wellness on there. And it's growing too. So this is a newer group. So it's evolving.
Okay, that is wonderful because I know even just the things I've discovered over my years and stuff, like it is a lot. It is so much. Like even how a lot of the foods like corn syrup, they mix a lot of maple syrups are fake because they mix it with corn syrup. Olive oils are cut and half of those are fake. Like there's just so much to know and so much, you know, the you and I's of the world fumbling through making all these mistakes to collect all our knowledge. And I think like,
Yes.
yeah, how much further along we could be with someone like getting your help, the just having all that information right there.
Well,
And that,
yeah, it's just having somebody that can cut through the BS and get you there a lot faster. I mean, there's no need for it to take 10 plus years to get over to this side when you can have somebody that's already gone through all that to get to this side. That doesn't mean that we're not all evolving and growing every day. And that's a great thing. Like we all should be doing that. And things change so quick. And it's just kind of always keeping that growth mindset as well. And just making sure that you're always ready to pivot or move with the changes because it's a forever growing, changing industry.
yep. Well, and especially, you know, the food industry, because now they're starting to add all these bugs and byproducts and different things as fillers. And I believe they're using more fillers than they ever used before. And even, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I only learned like 5 years ago that they put food dye in meat to keep it red in the stores. And I'm like,
Yes,
oh my God, how long has that been happening? And like,
I know. It's so true. And honestly, yes, it's a whole
it's a
thing
lot.
that you definitely have to, it's once you know you can't unknow, that can be good and bad, but knowing I do feel like it's a lot better than not knowing and just
Yes.
being aware so we can all make the best choices
You know what?
that
And
we can.
sometimes I find it's helpful to I'll say politely again know our flaws and almost like manipulate ourselves. For example, I found out long time ago Dairy Queen puts formaldehyde in their ice cream because a coworker of mine, her dad had heart surgery, and from his
Wow.
doctor on the list of foods he could not have was Dairy Queen because formaldehyde content. She showed me,
Wow.
and yeah, I was like, so I've
Mm.
literally never eaten Dairy Queen since. I keep saying I'm going to do it one day, but I can't because now I associate it with dead people. And but now I have because I love ice cream politely. I think most people do. And to stop myself from going out and indulging, because truly I'm a fat kid on the inside for sure, is I assume all fast food and all places out there also put formaldehyde, and I don't want to eat that. So now I've kind of tricked myself into never eating ice cream out in the world.
Which, I mean, honestly, that can be okay too, because it's if we think about it, is ice cream in a fast food restaurant really going to be, it may not have formaldehyde in it, but it's going to have something else in it. And yes. And oh man, the list goes on and on and on. I'm really health conscious too when it comes to my skincare products and all the things because your skin is the largest organ. And so it's just what we put into our bodies, on our bodies. It's just all around. It's a
It's a
whole
lot.
thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's, you know what, and I think you're so right with having that support system because even right there, oh my God, we could probably have a 2 hour session talking about skin and hair products, things they put in there, how it absorbs, because yeah, what's our largest organ? It is, which still makes me laugh
Yes.
today. um, but it's just so vast and there's so much. And I think just to have that group where you could go in and be like, hey, I heard this thing with pigs. What? And you can just get support and information. And maybe people Google it together. And maybe it's right, maybe it's false, who knows? But at least you have other people to help navigate that and find that information.
Yes, because to somebody that's not aware or as conscious as you may be or how you're feeling, so it's great to be in a room of like-minded individuals because that's where real change can happen. And because you could say that to the wrong person and it would just blow up in your face. Like they would think you were just completely out of your mind. Like
Which
I've had
I
it happen
have.
both ways. There are people that are, they can really literally think you're out of your mind, but you're not. It's okay. You just have to find your people. That way you can, okay, I'm not the only one that thinks this. Okay, there is some truth to this. Let's see how much truth, how much, and it just kind of getting through the BS.
Yep, I did have that because I'm a big proponent on not falling into this gluten-free trap. I understand celiac is a very real thing, but literally for over 10 years now, a lot of my massage clients, everyone and their dog, I'm celiac. And I'm like, I bet you are crappy North American wheat intolerant. I bet you that like what it is. And I had quite a few clients that went out because I'm sure you know this, Italian wheat. They have protected their grains there and they are very natural. There's no GMO. They are au naturel. And so I would say, I don't know if you got, if people have in the States or not, if there's any Americans listening to this, Famoso Pizza in Canada, they use only imported Italian wheat. And we do have Mercados is an Italian market you can purchase it at. And I always say, okay, you are gluten intolerant, go to Famosos, see if you can eat their pizza. 9 times out of 10, everyone comes back and they're like, oh my God, I ate the whole thing. I didn't have any issues. Okay, you're right. Tell me more about this. And I think it's funny because in trying to, and of course, I'm just trying to help people. Like, you don't have to change your world. It's not gluten, it's just this wheat. And I've been called, yeah, you're crazy. That's conspiracy theories. What are the aliens? And I'm like, whoa, that went sideways fast. Like, and
Yes.
yeah, it can be
That
interesting.
right. Because we've been so programmed. It's really honestly, we've been so programmed and it's still happening. It happens all the time. We're programmed. And so, yes, just finding your people and
Yes.
just becoming aware. And if you have a thought, then somebody else has most likely thought the same thing. And then just find out the truth, find out what your truth is.
Well, and that's it. Like even just another quick example is my boyfriend's cousin. She's a dental hygienist. Love her to pieces. She's amazing. But trying to talk to her about fluoride. Ooh, ooh, that's fun.
Oh,
Right? But that's
yes.
the other thing too is it's okay to disagree. She wants to use fluoride. That's great. It's her teeth, it's her body, it's her choice. I don't want to use fluoride. That's great. I won't buy fluoride. But we don't have to argue about it, and you don't have to abandon those other people. It's just when I talk about fluoride, maybe we'll go to my group over here and talk about fluoride.
Right. It's, and it's really funny that you mentioned that. The last time I took my daughter to the dentist and she was uh, 5 years old and they wanted to clean her teeth with the fluoride. I was like, no fluoride. And it was so funny because the dentist even came in and he's like, why don't you want to have fluoride? I brought up the first point. Well, first of all, is it necessary? They're all baby teeth. So it really truly does not matter in this moment. Although, so we just had to agree to disagree. And it's a choice. I'm
Yeah,
choosing not to use fluoride because of my beliefs around fluoride. If you have different beliefs, it's up to you to figure
yeah,
that out. We cannot change other people's minds. We have to be wanting to make that choice and that change for ourselves. So
yeah.
yes, there's no need to argue. Debate maybe.
And that's it. And and even just to be open, hopefully most people watching this will be open with, because I've had people say this, well, what if you're wrong? And I said, then I'm wrong. Then I guess I've made bad choices and that'll be my consequence in the end. But right now, I'm doing the best that I know how to do that I think is best. And similarly with, people who disagree with you, that's fine. They're doing their best, like our beautiful cousin and her fluoride. She's just doing the best with what she knows. And, maybe
Yes,
she's right. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. And at the end of the day, who cares? We're just doing our best.
yes. Well, and, oh, I want to speak to this so much because I have so many questions. I'm like, okay, the fluoride. I know tons of people, myself included, that have had cavities with the fluoride.
Yes.
So we're promoting it as if we use cap or fluoride, we have no cavities. But it still happens.
Oh, yeah.
So
I have all the
who's
metal
to
in my
say?
mouth to prove that one.
Right. So you just have to go with what you feel is right for your own body,
Yes.
and also dive a little deeper into these subjects if you find interest there. And if I'm not using fluoride and you're not using fluoride, maybe it's something to look into. We're not telling you not to use fluoride, but if if you're looking up to somebody, or if you have advice from somebody maybe that you look up to in a certain field, then maybe go do your own research if you're on the fence.
Yeah. And again, it's that also being open to, well, okay. I think by now, hopefully everyone knows that the science is not definite and lots of things change. And there is a research paper out there to support whatever you want it to. Somewhere we can find this. And just
Yeah.
again, it's that there's keep judgment out of it, and let people, if they're interested, let's talk about it. But just to, because I know especially for it, again, it can be quite, those sorts of things can be quite controversial, but just to like allow people, like, they know what they know and they've been taught, and that's fine. And just like, again, we can disagree. Be okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Uh, um, oh, I had something else, but now I've lost it again. Yeah, is there, I guess we didn't really touch on those sorts of, there's so much when it comes to health. It's such a broad field. I guess to say also for your business and what you help people with, is there an area we didn't touch on about that?
I base my area. It's just so I feel like we've touched on so much. I mean, just mindfulness, being connected to the body mind connection. I mean, I feel like in wellness, it's just such a, well, relationships, finance. I mean, it can go so much more. It's wellness in all areas. It's just where you're needing to prioritize the most and finding what it is that we're all in different seasons. It might be our health, it might be our wealth, it might be our relationships, it might be we need to find our spiritual side. I mean, it just honestly, wellness is so broad.
Yeah.
But no, I believe that we touched on my pillars where I start off: nutrition, fitness, um, yes, and wellness products, of course.
Perfect. Yeah, the wellness products, those are, oh my goodness. I feel like we could do a whole nother interview because, like I said, that one
Oh,
is,
yes.
and supplements, right? Like, again, it's a big, big, big topic. But yeah, I will, for people watching this, so I'm going to put it on my platforms. YouTube, I think, is the most popular. I'll put the links. So if you can send me the links for your yourself, your group, whatever, however people can get in touch with you. Because I think,
Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
bare
Yes.
minimum is everyone should be a part of some sort of wellness free Facebook group where they can at least, have that comfortableness of like, hey guys, judgment free. I heard this weird thing. I kind of think it's a bit crazy. What do you guys think?
Oh, 100%. Yes. And a community where we can all learn and grow from each other, and share our own experiences and show whatever kind of support. It's always great to be if somebody else is in that group, there's a reason why they're there. We're all there for a reason, and it's just finding like-minded. Doesn't mean we're all going to agree on every single topic. That's okay. We're all different. We're all at different stages or seasons in life.
Well, and like we've already touched on before, is there's so many different body types. Like I personally, I believe in the blood type diet. Again, it's just that genetic makeup. And so what's right for me food wise and exercise is different than my boyfriend. He's an O and I'm a B. So we have different needs and different things we shouldn't eat according to that line of thinking. And so it's that, you know, to have that open mindedness of literally, we are each so, not to sound like one of the new age people, snowflakes, but we're so individual that, it's all guidelines. And then to kind of figure that out of, how does my body feel? Is this right for me? And not to try and copy other people, you know, use their
Right.
guidelines. And I feel, again, that's why you and I exist. I'm more the mental side of it, but that's why we exist as coaches, because it's such, can be a lot. And
So
I
true.
feel, yeah, that's a trap people fall into. It's like Weight Watchers. Here's your meal plan for the week. Well, great. That's going to work for 10% of the population, maybe. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're so right there. And honestly, too, it's, it's just doing things, anything we do too, we're not going to feel comfortable doing it at first. It's not going to always feel the best, but the end result is what we're going for. It's the end results. And as long as you have that goal set and you have a place that you want to be and you stay focused and on that track, that doesn't mean that it could not change. I mean, everything changes and that's okay. But if you're on that track, you'll be able to know where you might need to change or shift or pivot. And we're all on a journey. It's just finding your journey, finding what works for you, setting your intentions, setting your goals, and just working towards them.
Yes. Yes. That actually wraps it up in a beautiful little bow right there. And that is perfect. All right. I think, again, I feel like we could talk for another couple hours, but it has already been an hour. So is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap it up?
No, this was great and like awesome. I loved being on this interview with you. You asked some really great questions, and I just feel very grateful to be here. And I think we covered, like you said, we could go on for hours, like so many different topics. It's almost trying to stay back on focused point because
Yes.
easy to go off on tangents and like, so we're just gonna have to do it again.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We'll pick like 3 points and we'll all right,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll definitely have to do this again sometime.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.